Hey everybody out there, Chris and Mike here, and welcome back to another Dark Avenger Comic Book review. We are now talking about the books that came out of DC Comics on the week of July 23rd, 2014. And unlike Marvel, which we just did, we don't have 5 books. We've got a nice stack of books. As a matter of fact, anything that wasn't Marvel was indie or DC, so a lot of books. We're not going to waste any time. One thing I did want to say here that I forgot to say during Marvel was, guys, we covered a lot of news from San Diego Comic-Con. I would highly recommend you guys check out that news. Lots of awesome announcements came out of San Diego. We're going to be talking about it a lot tomorrow night, or tonight, because you're going to be watching this probably on Tuesday morning or Tuesday afternoon, or maybe even Tuesday night, or right now maybe. But Tuesday we're going to be discussing this in-depthly on the live show on the Comic Frontline. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Like I wanted to mention something, and then Mike and our reviews will be coming up. I know nothing came up Street Fighter. We did shoot the video for Street Fighter.
Yes.
It will be up after this, probably tomorrow night. We'll upload it after the live show. I do apologize. We did shoot it for last week. We just didn't upload it.
It's just been, our schedule's been really...
Yeah, very tiring with San Diego and everything. And tonight we're doing a 3 in a row. We did the indie review, we did Marvel, and now we're doing DC. That's why you're going to notice this shirt is basically on all 3 reviews. That's because it's a lot of running around. It's a lot of book reading, and it's been a really crazy night from the moment I got home from work all the way to now. Digital first goes first. Batman Beyond Universe, issue number 12, the Justice Lord's grand finale, or should I say the Lord Superman, because Justice Lords find out that Superman doesn't give 2 shits about them. He just wants there to be conflict and bring his people together, yada yada. Terry is stuck on the Justice Lord's world, and he finds a way to escape back into his world. It becomes a Lord Superman versus not only Superman Beyond and the Justice League Beyond, but basically the Justice Lords hear what Lord Superman says to his son, basically saying, you know, our planet's divided, but we can bring it together by giving it an outside enemy, this world. So basically Superman wants to trick everybody on his Earth to believe that the regular Earth, Earth 1, are the enemy. And his people hear that, and they all get pissed off, and now everybody wants to stand against Superman. However, Superman has Lex Luthor's the gun that took away Lord Superman's powers in the Justice League movie, and he takes away everybody's powers using that gun. However, Terry returns, and we all know from the end of the last issue that he has a kryptonite-powered suit. The rest of this is a fight between Terry and Superman. Lord Superman will not go down or stay down. Terry's trying his hardest not to kill Lord Superman, but in the end he just knocks him out. That's that. There's a touching moment between Terry and his father, but not his father from his world, his father from the Justice Lord's world. And the epilogue to all this is Lord Superman is now in the Phantom Zone. The Justice Lords are going back to their world. Wonder Woman's now back on Earth 1 permanent. And Zod doesn't want to be involved in his mother. He doesn't want his mother around. Basically, he didn't like that he was being used as a tool. And of course, there's a lot more stuff that happened in this book. I mean, it's a super thick book. Lots of dialogue, lots of this and that. But this is so old. You guys are already, if you're reading the digital first part, if you're reading it online, you're already in the middle of the next book, if not the end of the next book. So this is old news for anybody who reads this digitally. If you read this like myself, physical copy-wise, this is all new news for you, but I really did enjoy this issue. It was really good. The story arc was great. Can't wait to see what comes next for Batman Beyond Universe.
Okay, I have 2 books of the week. Book of the week from DC Comics, and this is one of them. HeMan Masters of the Universe, issue number 15.
Love the cover with all the different He-Mans.
Yeah, the evolutions of Prince Adam, known as He-Man. And basically, from what we saw in the last issue, He-Man and Gamora, Adora. Wow,
Gamora, huh?
I'm sorry, Adora. I'm very good. Adora are teaming up with each other against an army of in Eternia. And they talk about, you know, what they do, how they consume powers, and they see that the Eternians are keeping the animals hostage. And He-Man says, you know, we should free them, and I almost said it again. Adora, you know, like she's saying, like, you know, like it's just like, you know how she's like a little bit of an anti-hero, like she wants to save them, but she just doesn't want the robots to, I forgot what they were called, to see them, because like I said before, they consume power. Then they talk about how Hordak is part of this, and basically what He-Man wants to do, you know, love the artwork when he says by the power of Grayskull and the art in general. He frees all the and this one also. He frees all the animals from the prison, and like I thought that was really just amazing that they did that. Like that's what really got me to like say this book's like so amazing, like how they did that. Even knowing that it might alert the robots and everything. You know, he just says, you know, Eternian animals, you're free. And then they're just saying, you know, just don't cheer me, you know, turn your fear to rage. And, you know, we take the fight to Hordak, as they say? Yeah. And I like that He-Man and Adora are working together. And they have a unicorn horse to help them out. But Teela, the sorceress, has a message to say to He-Man and Adora about the Forbidden Island. And if you want to find out what it is, then, well, you should read the book.
This is going to end up making She-Ra at some point.
No, but I like how... The thing I like about He-Man is that it gives us that what we're going to expect in the next issue, and along with saving animals, because, you know, that's actually what really brought out the issue, and the artwork's just amazing. That's one of the book of the week, so definitely pick up.
I'm happy that this book finally has its solid title back once and for all. Batman and Robin, issue number 33. For those of you that didn't read Batman, or I should say Robin Rises Omega, I would highly recommend you read that, especially if you're reading this series, because it connects, it literally is a part of the Batman and Robin books. It takes place between issues 32 and 33. Basically, it's 32.5, you could say. 33 is the aftermath of what happened in Robin Rises Omega. Glorious Godfrey took Damien's sarcophagus back to Apocalypse. And now, Batman wants to go to Apocalypse. And the Justice League's like, you know, you always said it wasn't a good idea. We shouldn't do that. So Batman tries to shorts out their teleporters and teleports to the Watchtower, where they basically made Batman this suit of armor, because Batman's the only hero on the Justice League that has no superpowers, and he wants to take it and he wants to bring it to Apocalypse to save his son. Of course, the Justice League's against it. We find out how the whole armor was forged and everything. There's a gigantic fight that breaks out between the Justice League and Batman, because they want to stop Batman. They think it's crazy for him to do, you know, to do that, to go to Apocalypse. In the end, he's like, I'm done. I don't care. Let me go. I'm just tired. And he walks away from the Justice League. We also get to see Kala back, I believe, for the first time in the New 52.
Wow.
And you have Bruce, who destroys Damien's tombstone, basically symbolizing his son is alive. He has a moment with Clark. Superman shows up for a bit to share a little bit of dialogue, because he heard what happened in the Watchtower. But he says, if you need me, I know you won't call me, but I'm here for you. So then we have Bruce and the entire Bat family, and the best quote of the book was the end of the book, where he says, I'm glad you're all here. Let's get to it.
Nice.
To be continued. So the Justice League isn't going to help Batman get to Apocalypse and, you know, allow him to have his armor to go save his son. He's going to bring his family in, minus Dick, of course, who's believed dead, and he's going to do it himself. Looking forward to seeing when Batman actually makes it to Apocalypse. Again, this was more of an aftermath feeling book. However, it's a good setup for what I believe could be a really awesome story, especially if Damien comes back after all this.
Jonah Hex, issue number 33. This issue actually picked up really well now, actually.
There
was none comics I read this week that were disappointing. So, basically it talks about in the last issue where, Jonah Hex and I forgot what her name was. Like I think Talia Black. I think that's what her name was. Like they meet up with these group of thugs who you know, are against them and everything, and you know, one of them saying like, you know, how she's like being like very mean to them and everything, and then Jonah Hex, he gets unroped, and then they move forward to where they have to go to. So there's these other groups that come from for Almos Blackthorn. Like basically that's what this whole story is about, just to find him. And here's some artwork. Artwork's really good. And when Jonah Hex and Blackthorn go back in town, like they find out what happened and about Blackthorn. So Jonah Hex and Blackthorn, was it Blackthorn? No, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I got mixed up there. So they're trying to find a way to get to the camp to take out these guys who are looking for him. And there's like a whole big thing that happens there during that time. And like there's more in the book that I want to say, but I really don't want to because it would basically spoil it. But all I can say is that we're gonna get a new villain in this comic book of what we saw back in the panels. So, oh, I'm sorry, her name was Talia, not Blackthorn. Her name was Talia. And basically, what I could sum up about this issue is that they're looking for Blackthorn. Jonah Hex and Talia together are fighting off against a group of people who are looking for him because obviously they want to find him first, or make sure he doesn't get killed or something like that. It really picked up though, and if you want to find out more, then I'd say definitely read the book. Characters really confuse you sometimes.
Red Lanterns issue number 33. A Red Lantern on Guy Gardner's side betrays not only Guy Gardner's trust, but the entire Red Lantern team, and basically runs back to Atrocitus, with his tail between his legs begging Atrocitus to forgive him. You have an awesome story with John Stewart and Guy Gardner. Guy Gardner calls John Stewart to talk with him, asking for help, or just, you know, he just calls for him. And they have this awesome exchange of dialogue, which you got to read for yourself. Bleez wants to fix Rancor, but of course the C on Yasmalt is now black, so the blood on Yasmalt is no longer usable, and basically he's stuck that way. Rancor can't be fixed, and Bleez is willing to do whatever it takes, even if it means killing herself and giving her blood to him, so that he'll be back to his old self. Doesn't work. We find out where Atrocitus is, and using the traitor, the one that betrayed Guy Gardner and all the other Red Lanterns that he has, he actually forges new rings. And there's a lot of connections with what's going on in the Green Lantern books. But again, I don't want to spoil the dialogue between Guy Gardner and John Stewart. It was a really good book. Again, it feels more like a setup than it actually feels like a continuing part to the story. However, I'm not spoiling who turned on the Red Lanterns. You have to read the book for yourself to find out who it was. But things are really building up. The tension between Atrocitus and his team and Guy Gardner and his team is building up, but we do find out that Atrocitus has his own blood sea, so maybe there is a way to cure Rancor after all. We'll see if that actually happens in this book. Continuing forward, The Flash issue number 33. Barry is still having problems with time slipping, you know, where it feels like a few seconds, it really doesn't, and the time, the Speed Force is slipping around. The detective agency is still trying to figure out who the mashup, or is that what they're calling him? Mashup killer is. They think they know who it is. Barry has is feeling that there's something more to it, and one of the detectives, what's his name? I want to say his name right. Seaborn. And he shares what he figured, what he's come up with, or all the clues he's come up with Seaborn. He's like, well, what did he say exactly? He said if you find out the other prints, you can check those prints, the prints of the new member of the crew, because he basically says, I think there's a new member. It's not all the old members. There's somebody new. He's like, well, if you find the prints of this new person, you can put them in the system and see if you can find them. And also, Iris is asking Barry for help because she thinks Wally's about to do something regrettable. She hacks into his Facebook and finds out that there's a score that they're going to have. So she wants Barry to kind of interfere. While 7 years in the future Barry actually confronts the trickster this time. And he stops him from doing this heist, and before he can even explain why he stopped him from doing the heist, it involved a bank robbery with these little robots, and then Trickster's like, well, you should have stopped me after I disposed of the robots. And it leaves Future Flash fighting these robots, and Trickster's like, either you can hold on to me or you can fight the robots, and he lets Trickster go. Jump back to the present. Barry finds one of the last members of this gang, this crew, and basically he shoots himself up with a bunch of this serum or whatever it is, and he becomes this gigantic hulking beast. However, Barry's trying to say, calm down, stop. You know, it's gonna cause your heart to fail. Jump back to the future again with Future Barry fighting the robots and the Trickster, and basically just letting the Trickster fall. He grabs him and both of them fall. Present again, we got Barry versus the monster. Of course, what he warned him about happens, and then it's just about time where he's supposed to be where Wally was. He goes to try to stop Wally from doing whatever he's going to do. Future Flash convinces Trickster to want to live, and we find out later on the reason why is because Trickster was going to pull the job off. People were going to die because of it. This family, a mother, a father, and an 8-month-old baby girl. And the day after, he kills himself because of it. So he gives him this piece of paper and say, anytime you think about going back to crime, look at this. And he speeds off. Then you got Barry in the present, trying to stop Wally, but he's too late. And then we find out Wally finally figures out who the new crew member might be for the gang. And I'm not going to spoil that, but basically this crew member was an informant. And he matches up, he gets the fingerprints from the person he thinks it is, and they match the crime scene. The extra fingerprints on the crime scene. And now it's I think it's to be concluded, if I'm not mistaken, or next part is going to be the showdown between Barry and the new crew member on the team. I'm really not. I can't lie and say I'm not interested in what's going on in the present, but I'm more interested in what's going on with future Barry than present Barry. I don't know why, but it's okay. I'm not saying it's bad, but at the same time, I'm not as interested as I am when I see the future.
A very interesting issue of Trinity of Sin Pandora, issue number 13. And I don't know how you stopped reading Pandora, because this is like really...
the connection to books that I wasn't reading.
Basically, Giganta is asking Agent Kincaid if she can bring Pandora back to life. And here's a little interesting artwork right there. And it just goes into the past where actually the guy who she was with, Marcus, she actually resurrected him more than once in the past to different people. And it goes to like the past where she was with this person who was, you know, like in the past and all that, and basically Marcos, his name was, died. And then they show how he was brought back to life of a spirit to be in another person. that had his form to be like him. So Pandora, she's alive again, and Giganta's happy about that. And, you know, Agent Kincaid's like saying, you know, how I thought that she was a monster and everything, and she's got to watch what she says, because Giganta was about to unleash her and everything. Then it goes other years forward after what happened back then, where she meets up with Mongit. No, it's like this guy right here. And basically, it's like every story that she talked about, they died. And then she resurrected them again and again. So, basically, Giganta, Agent Kincaid, and Pandora help out with the whole burning thing so they could bring his spirit back to life to another one. Then it goes back again where Matios was I think a pirate? Yeah, like he was a pirate, and then he gets shot, and that's how he died, and then resurrected again. And I like how they do it, like the process of that, and it shows how much she really cares for that person, like not letting the spirit go. But like Agent Kincaid, I think said, like, you know, like how long can you do this? Like, how do you know if this person actually wants to come back and not just be put to rest? You know, and then there's this other woman that, well, there's this new villain actually in this book that I cringed a little bit. It has to do with vampires.
And then you said, why'd I drop it? That's why.
Yeah. Then you'll have to find out what it is when you read the issue. So, it is getting canceled, though I don't know if it's going to relate in the Trinities of Sin, but I don't know. We'll find out.
Batman 75th anniversary cover for Batman 33, the last issue of Zero Year. And you know what my favorite part of this book was? The ending! Ha! I'm tired of this story so much. I was so happy when I got this issue, this double-sized $5 issue. That's right, $5 for the grand finale. Thank you, God. Batman versus Riddler. Riddler has 12 riddles. Batman solves it. He can turn the power back on. He doesn't. Eternal blackness. Forever. The Jets are coming. The Jets actually show up, and it's up to Lieutenant Gordon to stop the Jets. Riddles. I don't want to give away the riddles or anything.
Wait, don't you mean Detective Gordon?
Lieutenant.
Oh, Lieutenant. Oh, okay.
But Lieutenant Gordon actually makes the first makeshift bat signal also. So Batman figures out all the riddles except the last one. He gets that wrong. But he says, I don't think I was wrong. And Riddler explains the story, and the answer was supposed to be a knot. And Batman's like, your riddle is a blade. And then he explains how he screwed around with Riddler and how he knew that he got the last riddle right. He said the reason it's a blade is because oh, what was it? Because the person who was told the riddle basically killed the person. He pulled out his blade and killed the person.
Wow.
So there's a huge twist to how the power gets turned back on. It involves Batman shocking himself with lots of electricity. And things go black. But in the end, Batman won. And I just basically screwed all you guys understanding what happened, because I'm so happy it's over. You guys just got to read the issue for yourself. It was a good issue, though. I will say, really good riddles by the Riddler and a really good story. One thing I didn't like, which Bruce admits towards the end of the book, which I will talk about, is he was so overwhelmed with everything that had gone on in his life. He was so upset that he actually wanted to reboot himself. He was at Arkham Asylum, and they were going to do shock therapy, which would cause him to forget everything, and he would start a new life. He would forget everything in his past. And at the last moment, he decided not to do it. He couldn't go through with it. The one thing I didn't like was, in the Batman mythos, he never got to a point where he wanted to forget everything. He never broke. He never snapped. He never came to the point where he's like, you know what, I want to forget. He's come to many different points, many different obstacles, but Batman always overcame them as Bruce Wayne, and that's what caused him to become Batman. This kind of made Bruce kind of weaker, but I like that Scott Snyder actually said that he was going to break down the character. He was going to break Batman down to his core and then build him back up. So in a way, I understand how that he had to show that moment of weakness, but at the same time, that never happened really in the original Batman mythos. So to see that is something new, and it's kind of weird to see that. And then, of course, you got Batman as Batman in the end of the book. He tells Alfred, I'm never going to stop. And also, he's never going to be happy. What makes him happy is the city being safe. And I remember, what was his name? Alfred said, there's so much deeper happiness than that. He's like, I don't care. This is what I want. And that's what he becomes. Batman. Thank you, God. It's over. I'm so happy. You have no idea how happy I am, guys, that it's over.
Alright, and the other book of the week, Justice League Dark, issue number 33, which is the Batman 75th anniversary cover as well. And mostly it talks about Deadman, this issue, which is pretty interesting. And, like, here's some artwork right here. And basically the whole dialogue is just, how he's Deadman and how, he is the way he is, and, and it does talk about the last issue of how Deadman's happy that Nightmare Nurse is, or what was her name? Basically how, well, I'll call her Nightmare Nurse, how she's back and everything, but then he sees like these visions of something, like a terrible pain and something like that, and it goes to Nada Parbat, which took place at the Dermation Project in Justice League Blight, or Forever Evil Blight, actually. And there's a whole thing of where Deadman doesn't really look so good, but thanks to Satana, he brings him back to life, and he just wants to go back to Nada Parbat just to find out some more informations and everything else. And he just keeps going back to his own past, and all that. And he just wants to find out the answers to that part of Nada Parbat. And then the Justice League Dark, like, they help him out a little bit, but there's these demons, so to say, that they fight against, and Deadman's on Dragon. And just to speed this up, basically, he goes face to face with some other demon, and they're a little bit too late for Deadman. Like, they don't know where he is. Like, they think something happened to him, and I'm not going to say what happened at the end of the book, but let's just say Deadman got what he wanted from the beginning. To be something that he's always wanted to be.
Well,
that he wasn't for years.
He was that during for years, okay.
For years.
Batman 75th anniversary cover. And guys, give us 2 seconds. Okay, and guys, give us 2 seconds. We're going to switch over and finish out this week's books from DC Comics. Alright, and continuing along. Superman issue number 33. Oh my god, guys, I really like this issue. It was amazing. You have so much in here. Ulysses is a main focus right now. Clark is trying to find more information out for Ulysses, and he shows up at the Daily Planet. Basically, it opens up with kind of a Superman 1-esque movie moment where Perry's like, oh, this is great, look at the surprise, Superman has this new partner, so to speak. The only problem is, we're not the paper that published that. And then he throws out a bunch of questions like, we did this for Superman, we got to do this again. I want answers. I want to know where he comes from, what he is, yada yada.
Yeah.
And then Clark walks in, and he actually wants Perry's help with something. We don't know what yet. And I love this one moment where one of the reporters says, he's kind of cute, isn't he, to Lois? And she's like, well, yes. So I love how there's still that open, they could be at some point back together. I think if Superman and Lois Lane got back together and a few things were fixed here and there, I would actually be more welcoming and warm towards New 52 Superman. But anyway, heavy dialogue page. Warning, there's heavy dialogue in this book. Clark wants more information about the an article Perry wrote 25 years ago, and it's about the Ulysses Research Lab. And Perry White gives the long explanation of what happened. You want to know? You must buy this book. It's amazing anyway. I would definitely recommend it. And Perry's willing to help Clark out more, and he'll give him everything he knows plus on one condition. Clark agrees to, what was the word he looked for? To give them the story, to give them the scoop. And Clark agrees because he needs the information for Ulysses, who shows up at the Daily Planet and reaches out to Clark, and he's like, I was looking for you. And Clark's like, oh yeah, I've got an interview with him. And then Perry throws out the, you promised me this piece, Kent. And he tells Ulysses, you know, I have a secret identity. I'm not Superman 24/7. That's why I wear different clothes. And Ulysses kind of tries to figure out and understand what a secret identity is. He's not used to that. And Clark promises Ulysses he has some more information possibly for him, but for him to stay in his apartment this time. And he actually goes to the research facility and does some digging of his own. While Ulysses back in Metropolis puts on some regular clothes like Clark and walks around, you know, just being normal until this army of robots shows up and they're connected to Titano somehow. And Clark calls Perry for some more advice and then finds out that Ulysses is fighting in Metropolis. And the one thing that John Romita Jr. still can't draw is the flying animation correctly. But anyway, Clark finds some information out for Ulysses. And spoiler alert here, he finds out that Ulysses' parents are actually alive. Another thing that would warm me up to Superman more is what they're hinting here. The last panel has that guy in the hood again saying, you have to be alone, Clark, for now. I'm wondering still if that is Jonathan Kent or if somehow, some way, his parents are going to come back at some point. Little things that pre-New 52 will definitely build Superman up and be a more... I feel like if a few things from the old DCU were brought into the new 52, I would feel more comfortable and more welcoming to this Superman. Just saying. However, the classic Superman, this is the Batman 75th anniversary cover. Anything that's Superman related that has the 75th Batman has a classic Superman picture, and that's why I get that over the regular covers, because I love seeing classic Superman. It's my weakness, what can I say? We're now on the weeklies, and both, once again, are in the exact same place. I can't put one ahead of the other. The only reason why I'm doing this one first is because I didn't care about more in this book than that book. Batman Eternal issue 16. There's 2 pages with Red Robin still trying to figure out who sent that nanobot virus to Gotham, and of course Harper is ignoring Red Robin's orders to stay behind. I did enjoy a couple of pages of Batman watching as Lieutenant Bard is still giving justice, and there's something going on between him and Vicky Vale, possibly. I enjoyed that. Everything else in this book was Batwing and Arkham Asylum and Ghost and the Spectre and some dark stuff going on at Arkham Asylum that's probably by the end of this story arc not going to matter at all to the Batman Eternal story. Again, the Batwing part of the Batman Eternal story so far feels like filler. Some crazy stuff's going on at Arkham. It has the Joker's daughter, which right there, mentioning the Joker's daughter, should tell you how stupid this story arc's going to be. Again, I can't wait to see the end to the Batwing story, and we move forward with Batman, more Red Robin, Batgirl. There was no Gordon in this issue, no Batgirl, no continuation of the story. Now it's focused on Batwing, and I can't say I really had that much interest in Batman Eternal this week. Futures End, issue 12. Hawkman and Frankenstein, Ray Palmer, and Amethyst are on this planet, and this planet is ruled by Brainiac somehow. We have Faraday, who reaches out to Mercy and warns her that people are gunning for her, and Voodoo, and she reaches out to Voodoo, who's with the guy that was with Grifter, and they all believe that Grifter's still dead, but he's not. His partner doesn't believe that. Rampage is used to get Ethan, whatever his last name is. He uses her to kind of as a distraction for Superman so he can escape and Superman won't find him. And then we jump into the future, 35 years from now, where all the bad stuff happened. And we have Joker, who's begging to be killed, and Brother Eye basically says, "No, we're gonna change you now." And we find out, spoiler alert here, that Bruce Wayne in the 35 years later is a prisoner of Brother Eye, but he's kind of locked up. And you have Joker just laughing at the fact, seeing Batman strapped there without an arm, basically. I don't know if he's being transformed into one of the Brother Eye robots or not, but that's where the book ends. And yeah, that was basically the whole book. No joke. 3 parts. And
yeah,
didn't feel like much this week. It really didn't feel like reading much this week. So I guess this is a low point week for the weeklies, but again, this is going to be 40-something issues. This is going to be 52 issues. There are going to be weeks where things go down and then they go back up again. That's what we sign on for. When you buy a weekly series, you sign up for the good, the really bad, and the boring.
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to happen.
We both went through that.
I've read 52, I've read Countdown, I've read Trinity, War, and now I'm doing Future's End and Batman Eternal, and when World's End happens, World's End. It's, when it comes to a weekly series, you have to expect especially when you have different writers doing different parts or different sections of a story, you have to expect up times and then down times
like
and then
a
times where,
scale.
yeah.
You know.
It's just one of those
out.
things. It's one of those things where you just have to expect everything. So, will things get better? I'm sure they will. I'm still looking forward to how Eternal is going to end. Future's End obviously is leading into September and beyond that. So, looking forward to seeing how DC is going to fix itself, or the New 52 is finally going to end and things will fix themselves. I don't know. But looking forward to a lot of stuff in the future. And then World's End is going to also be another awesome weekly series. But anyway, that's it for this review, guys. Don't forget to check out Comic Related, Comic Frontline, and Zone4Podcast.com. Together we're your #1 source for comic-related news, reviews, and a whole bunch more. Comments, guys. Likes, dislikes, agree, disagree, recommendations, your opinions on any of the books we read here. Let us know in the comments below, and we will be covering all your guys' comments this Friday on the weekly comic book haul.
Yep.
Guys, please let your voices be heard. I'd love to hear from you guys. I'd love to interact with you guys. That's why I brought the weekly comic book calls back, was so that this way I can interact with you guys through you guys' comments.
Yep.
So, until next time, everybody, take care, keep reading, keep collecting, and we'll see you guys in the next review. Take care, everybody.
Later, everybody.